Hello, warm welcome to this session on gender, sex and sexuality. This is a lecture for Bachelors of Arts Honors Sociology. The course code is BSOC 107. The course title is Sociology of Gender. I am Dr. Shanshank Yadav, Faculty of Sociology at School of Social Sciences, IGNOU, New Delhi. In this lecture, I'll be dealing with what is gender, how it is different from sex, and how socialization shapes our gender roles, how gender is hierarchically organized, and how it is different from sexuality or sexual orientation. First, coming to a general understanding, a layman understanding, when we are born, our parents, our family, doctor, nurse assign us our identity, which is primarily based on the genitals which we possess, the reproductive organ which we possess. This is a ascribed identity. But when we grow up in family, in community, in neighborhood, in school, in our surroundings, we interact with the peoples and we get engaged with the peoples. Through this engagement, through this learning, we acquire our identity. This identity is learned. Typically, this learned identity or this acquired identity is known as gender. But before making or comprehending what is gender, it is required to make distinction between gender, sex, and sexuality. This is the primary objective of this lecture. In this lecture, we'll primarily try to contextualize what is gender. And this is a elementary basic lectures meant primarily for undergraduate students. Now coming to sex. Sex is a biological difference. It is difference based on our genitals, reproductive organ, reproductive systems. And based on this, we differentiate male from the female. This is a general distinction. And now we also make a third category, which is mix of male and female. It is called as intersex. It's a combination of male and female. Whereas gender is social cultural construct. Men and women and respective roles like masculine or feminine. These are our gender roles, which we learn through the process of socialization. In the process of socialization, we start performing our expected role. The family, school, community, or media. These are the agencies through which we learn what is expected from us. And through this, we start behaving in a particular way. We start dressing in a particular way. We start engaging with wider society in a different way. The society prescribes and sometimes proscribes through positive and negative sanctions. Say, for example, if a child does something good, oh, just like a male, a good boy. These are the comments which we learn. Or if a girl is doing something good, wow, what a pretty girl, what a beautiful girl. So this prettiness, beauty, or bravery is a way through which we are training our young kids in their gender roles. This is gender role which we start performing because of how we are trained in our community, in our family. This gender role or gender playing becomes more obvious when we acquire certain kind of economic activities. Division of labor in the family as well as in the job, work profile, all these things get gendered. Male have to be breadwinner, male have to engage into more masculine work, or the hard work, or the work which are considered more worthful. For example, being an engineer, being a pilot, or achieving a higher position like a higher administration, bureaucracy, which are all praised and are considered to be male-oriented work. Whereas in case of females, the work assigned to her will be like being a teacher or being a nurse, a role where she more fits into nurturing, caring role. Even the household work a mother performs, like making the household management, looking after the kids or the old, nurturing the youngs or the looking after the olds. These are the usually division of work, division of labor through which gendered roles are offered. And here we find that because of this gendered division or gendered role which have been acquired, gendered hierarchy emerges. Some works are considered good, some works are considered worth. Hence, there is a grading of works. So this graded inequality emerges, and here becomes the issue of gendered hierarchy. Gender is not a neutral term. Gender is not neutral term like the sexual differences. Gender is value-laden. Gender means a hierarchy of superior, inferior. Males usually in many society are considered superior, whereas females are considered inferior. This gender is also linked with time and space in which we are operating. This gender is not unchanging. Over a period of time, the gendered role have changed. Earlier, the females were much more confined to their households, but over a period of time, now they are engaging with the public life. They are on the roads, they are on the workplaces, they are working everywhere. So over a period of time, say for example, many people used to cite that the conditions of women during the Vedic age was very good. But over a period of time, in the medieval ages, it gradually declined. But now, with the new economic opportunity, it is gradually increasing. The gender is time dependent. And second thing, it is also space dependent, location dependent. For example, gender in North India or gender training in North India is different. Gender training in Eastern India, Bengal or entire Northeast is different. The women get different kind of opportunities in Northeast India and in the Western India. So this gender is having space variations or locations variations. The people, those who are being trained in different caste groups, those who are in middle caste or upper caste, they are primarily trained to be keeping in the household or working in the household. But for a tribal woman or a Dalit woman has to get engaged into the field. She is more open, she is outgoing. So these are the gender trainings. And these gender trainings also varies class-wise, region-wise, as well as religion-wise. In few religions, women's position is more subordinated, or in few religions, there are some spaces for them. And this negotiations of time, space, division of labors is not in isolation. It works with lots of other social institutions, family, marriage, kinship, all these things operates and shapes our identity. Through all these interactions, a man or woman becomes aware of himself or herself. So this gender is first, it's a social cultural construct. We come about gender through socialization process. It is learned behavior. It is the expectation of family, school, community, media, etc., which shapes our identity, our opinion, and this is done through the economic division of labor, and this is a hierarchical arrangement. There is a inequality, there is a sense of superiority and inferiority built into the gender, and as I mentioned that it has time and space variations. It varies, the gender training varies caste, class, region and religion wise. So these are the key defining features of gender. Now coming to the third interrelated issue, which is of sexuality or sexual orientation, where sex is biological, neutral, gender is social cultural, and is having a value-added orientation. Sexuality is different from sex and gender. Sexuality is something of feeling, of attraction, likeness, emotional attachment. Sexual orientation is about who you are attracted to, and you feel drawn romantically, emotionally, and sexually even towards him or her. So this sexual orientation is a kind of sexual attraction towards the same person or towards the same sex person or person from different sex. Sexual attraction to opposite sex is known as heterosexuality. Heterosexuality is a norm, it's normal. Heterosexuality is a norm of the society or every society. Whereas when someone is attracted towards same sex, a male is attracted to a male, is known as gay. A female is attracted to a female, is known as lesbian. So this heterosexuality is a sexual orientation. It is equally true the way our eyes may be blue or black. And this sexual orientation sometimes may be considered as programmed. Some people also consider it's learned, but it's not like this. And third category is of bisexual. A person may be attracted to both sexes. A person may be attracted to a female as well as person may be attracted to a male. So this sort of arrangement is known as bisexual. A person may not be attracted to anybody, is known as asexual. So these are all. A person who may be attracted towards all sexes is known as pansexual. So this is a sexual this is a different concept, sexuality. It is different from sex and gender. Now coming to a concluding aspect of gender, sex and sexuality. As I said, sex is biological difference. It is difference between male and female, and it is ascribed, it is given to you, it is by birth with you. Whereas gender is socio-cultural construct. We learn gendered roles through interaction with the society, in family, in neighborhood, in school, and gender stereotypes sometimes are enforced through all these institutions. The gender is socio-cultural. It is nothing to take with biological things. Whereas sexual orientation is physical, emotional, attraction towards opposite sex or with the same sex or attraction towards both the sex. So these are all interrelated concepts, and for the sake of simplicity I made a difference in all these concepts. The idea was to make you conceptually clear about gender, and this clarity can only be brought through making it a distinction from sex, gender and sexuality. But it is not a kind of absolute version of reading it. What I presented, the different conceptualization of sex, gender and sexuality, is an ideal typical one. And this categorization has been done for the sake of simplicity. But in actual life, sex, gender and sexuality have intersections. And these intersections are determinantal to actual conceptualization of sociology of gender, which you learn in the next coming sessions, in next sessions which will be on the sociology of gender. Just for making you more clear and more familiar, I am giving you some clue or some examples through which the intersectionality of these concepts can be considered, can be understood. Say, for example, radical feminists consider that the actual problem of the women is not the way it is gendered, but by the time they will perform the reproductive function in society, they will be under control. So they are giving much emphasis to the biological differences, and they are saying that gender is not that much important. The biological differences are very much important. The subjugation of women is not only social cultural but primarily sexual or based on the sex. So this is a gray area through which you need to understand, you need to gaze and re-gauge yourself. The second example which I'll give you, which may be in some way drawing you to the gray area regarding sexuality or sexual orientation. I simply said that sexual orientation is physical, emotional attraction towards same or opposite sex. But if this sexual orientation is governed, regulated by society or state, say for example, homosexuality has been a criminal offense in many countries. So this sort of regulation is a part and parcel of the gendered way, the way we operate. When patriarchy governs sexual relations or which governs sexuality of women, this sexual orientation is not only cannot be classified differently, or it's not completely devoid of gender. The gender role what we have acquired has given someone strength or political strength or kept him or her in political privilege, which can regulate the sexuality through making laws, through making informal laws, or through religious and cultural sanctions. Our sexual orientation may be governed, sexual orientation may be governed through what we have acquired in terms of our gender relations. Just giving you a recap again, and to sum up, or I can sum up in only one line if I have to sum up. One is not born a woman, but rather become a woman. So becoming a woman is a gendered aspect, and being born women is a concept of sex. So with these lines, I would like to summarize my key takeaway from this lecture. Sex, is biological difference, gender is socio-cultural, sexual orientation is physical attraction towards someone from the same or opposite sex. But while classifying all these three, I would like to also press that these three differences are not straitjacket differences. There are intersections, intersectionality. Sex can influence gender. Gender can influence sexual orientation. Sexual orientation, sex, gender, and sexual orientations, they all operate in given political, social, economic environment. So with these things, I would like to sum up my lectures. Thank you all for listening, and hope in the few other lectures on gender, sociology of gender, you will be able to gain more clarity and will be able to engage with debates on gender, sex, and sexuality. Thank you.